1. More than 52% of the world's population is under 30 years old. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, as of 2012, 50.5% of the world's population were people under the age of 30. Around 89.7% of those young people live in emerging and developing economies like the Middle East and Africa. 2. People 60 years and older make up 12.3% of the global population. Although the majority of the human population is currently under 30 years old, there are still plenty of older folks among us. In fact, 12.3% of people on Earth are 60 years old and older. That number is expected to reach 22% by 2050. 3. There are more than 24 time zones around the world. If the Earth's time zones were each 1 hour apart, then we would have 24 time zones, which sounds pretty straightforward. However, the situation is a little more complicated than that. Since many time zones only differ by 30 or 45 minutes, they don't fit into a neat and tidy 24-hour span, which means that there are more than 24, though it's hard to say exactly how many. 4. Nearly half of the world's population watched both the 2010 and 2014 FIFA World Cup games. Soccer, or football, depending on who you ask, is the most popular sport around the world. That's why when the FIFA World Cup games took place in both 2010 and 2014, nearly half of the world's population, around 3.2 billion people, tuned in to see who would win. 5. It's estimated that Sweden has more islands than any other country. With 221,800 islands, Sweden is thought to have more islands than any other country in the world. Only about 1,000 of them are inhabited. 6. There are 43 countries that still have a royal family. The British royal family may be the most famous royal family on the planet, but there are still plenty of other nobles out there. In total, there are 28 royal families who rule over a total of 43 countries around the world, including Japan, Spain, Swaziland, Bhutan, Thailand, Monaco, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Liechtenstein. 7. California is home to the artichoke capital of the world. Castroville is a rural town in California that grows a lot of artichokes and other vegetable crops, thanks to the fact that the area enjoys ideal weather year-round. Because of this, it grows 99.9% of all commercially grown artichokes and has even been nicknamed the artichoke capital of the world. 8. All giant pandas in zoos around the world are on loan from China. The panda at your local zoo may look like it's at home in its cozy sanctuary. But unless you live in China, the pandas that you're seeing are just visiting. That's because every one of the gentle giants in zoos around the world are on loan from China. Yes, they're technically the property of the government of China, according to Vox. 9. The most typical human fits this description. According to a study developed for National Geographic in 2011, the world's most typical person is right-handed, makes less than $12,000 per year, has a mobile phone, and doesn't have a bank account. 10. Canada has 9% of the world's forests. Our neighbors to the north boast 396.9 million hectares of forests, or 9% of all of the forest area in the entire world, according to Natural Resources Canada. 11. The red-billed quelea is the most common bird on Earth. There may not be any red-billed queleas in your neighborhood, but that's not because there aren't an abundance of them. These birds, which live in sub-Saharan Africa, are considered agricultural pests because their massive flocks can obliterate entire crops. Although their numbers fluctuate, there are around 1 to 10 billion queleas, which leads scientists to believe that there are more of them than any other bird on Earth, according to Audubon. 12. There's a website that tracks the world's population in real time. As of 2019, the overall human population is estimated to be more than 7.7 billion people. And if you want to watch that increase in real time, you can tune into the World Population Clock, which shows the upticks and downticks as babies are born and other people die. You can also see the current populations of different countries, including China 1,420,000,000 plus, India 1,368,000,000 plus, and the US 329 million plus. 13. More people speak Mandarin Chinese than any other language. With around 950 million native speakers and an additional 200 million people speaking Mandarin Chinese as a second language, it's the most popular language in the world. 14. Around 1 in every 200 men are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. During his lifetime between 1162 and 1227, Genghis Khan fathered countless children. And while we may never know exactly how many offspring the leader of the Mongol Empire had, scientists now believe that around 1 in every 200 men, aka 16 million people, are a direct descendant of his, according to a 2003 historical genetics paper. 15. Copenhagen is the most bike-friendly city in the world. Many places around the world are trying to figure out how to rework their infrastructure to accommodate cyclists and hopefully, in turn, encourage residents to use the environmentally friendly mode of transportation. That's why Copenhagen has become such a role model. According to Wired, it's the most bike-friendly city in the world. 16. There are 41 countries that recognize sign language as an official language. There are estimated to be 72 million deaf people around the world. There are also about 300 different sign languages, including American Sign Language and International Sign Language, as well as 41 countries that recognize them as an official language. 17. The global adult literacy rate is around 86%. With each generation that passes, more and more people are learning how to read, according to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. These days, around 86% of adults around the world are able to enjoy a book. UNESCO also explained that their data shows remarkable improvement among youth in terms of reading and writing skills and a steady reduction in gender gaps. 50 years ago, almost 1/4 of youth lacked basic literacy skills compared to less than 10% in 2016. 18. Facebook has more users than the population of the US, China, and Brazil combined. Do you use Facebook? If you don't, you're among a number that gets increasingly smaller every day. In fact, 2 billion active users have an account on the social media platform, which is more than the population of the United States, China, and Brazil combined. Facebook's co-founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg posted about the milestone, saying, "We're making progress connecting the world, and now let's bring the world closer together." 19. There are only 2 countries with names that begin with the. You might find yourself saying the before various countries and place names when referring to them thanks to grammar and common pronunciation, which is why we say the United States or the Maldives. However, only the Gambia and the Bahamas formally include the in their nations' names. 20. All the ants on Earth weigh about as much as all the humans. The total population of people who are alive on Earth hasn't even hit 8 billion. At the same time, there are 10 quadrillion individual ants crawling around at any given time. According to wildlife presenter Chris Packham, who appeared on the BBC, when combined, all of those ants would weigh about the same as all of us humans. However, Francis Ratnieks, professor of apiculture at the University of Sussex, disagrees. He says that while this fact may have been true in the past, these days, we must also remember that humans are getting fatter all the time. We're not just increasing in population, we're increasing in fatness, so I think we've left the ants behind. 21. The oceans contain almost 200,000 different kinds of viruses. The next time you feel like taking a dip in the big blue ocean, you might not want to think about the fact that the seemingly pristine water is home to almost 200,000 different kinds of viruses. While this may sound scary, Matthew Sullivan, a microbiologist at The Ohio State University, told CNN, having that roadmap of what viruses exist helps us do a lot of the things we'd be interested in to better understand the ocean and, I hate to say it, but maybe to have to engineer the ocean at some point to combat climate change. 22. New Zealanders have more pets per household than any other country. People who live in New Zealand seem to love having an animal companion around. That's why 68% of households in the country have a pet, which is more than any other nation in the world. Americans also happen to love furry friends, which is why more than half of all US homes have either a dog or cat, or both. 23. Tokyo is the world's largest city with 37 million inhabitants. Tokyo is a booming city, not only by Japanese standards, but also compared to cities around the world. With around 37 million people living in Tokyo, it's the world's largest city when it comes to population size, according to Reuters. The next largest city is Delhi, India, population 29 million, and Shanghai, China, population 26 million. 24. Interpol began in 1914 when legal professionals from 24 countries got together to discuss catching fugitives. These days, Interpol, or the International Criminal Police Organization, may be well known for tracking down outlaws around the world. But the group dates all the way back to 1914 when the International Criminal Police Congress was held in Monaco. That meeting saw police and judicial representatives from 24 countries get together with the goal of improving contacts between police forces in different countries in order to increase the effectiveness of international investigations. 25. Nearly 2 people die each second. While 4 babies are born on Earth every second, it's estimated that around 2 people pass away at the same time. That means that 105 people die each minute, 6,316 people die each hour, 151,600 people die each day, and 55.3 million people die each year.